Hello, Guardians, and welcome to Destiny Reset, episode 208. This show is about anything and everything related to the Destiny franchise. If you love playing Destiny 2 as much as we do, you're in the right place. This reset, we welcome back DirtFam admin Joe Mieden to talk about Solstice of Heroes, a short delay for the Shadowkeep launch, and how Destiny 2 caters to many different Guardians play schedules. Hello, Guardians, and welcome. It is AER0KNIGHT, and with me, Mr. Joe Mieden. What's up, dude?
Hey, not much. It's good to be on here. Thanks for inviting me.
Of course. It's been a little while. I mean, you've been on the show quite a bit, but we were talking a little bit before we hit record. We didn't actually talk about how long it's been, just that it's been a while since you've been on.
It's true. Yeah, some life changes, and my wife had our first child about 7 months ago, and I don't know if I've been on since that happened. I think he was really little the last time I was on, and that has completely changed, as we were discussing before we started, how I have taken part in this lovely game called Destiny. So it's good to be back, and it's been a fun little journey.
Yeah, dude, it's awesome to have you back. I'm pretty sure myself and many of us told you early on, but congrats. Obviously, it's pretty awesome becoming a parent. It's a cool thing. But yeah, I mean, your Destiny playtime probably changed a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah. But that's okay, right? It is,
yeah.
More than worth it. But well, it's awesome to have you back on the show, dude. We always like having you on. Of course, I'm back as well. I've been off the show for a couple weeks. Cyborg has been manning the podcast, having some great guests on. We had Aerocast on, and then Mercules last week. So fantastic episodes. And this week, Cyborg actually, he's got some stuff going on. He's moving. I think he's mentioned a couple times. So he's got a lot going on this week. So you and I are gonna man the Destiny Reset episode 208 this week. We've got plenty to talk about as usual. But before we do that, for anyone that doesn't know, Joe, like I mentioned, has been on several times, but he is a DirtFam founder. He's been around pretty much since the very beginning. I mean, pretty darn close, along with a handful of us Guardians that kind of started the DirtFam, if you will. And you're a clan leader, you're a DirtFam founder, you're on the admin team. I mean, you've been doing the thing with us for quite some time. So that kind of gives everyone that maybe hasn't heard your voice before or talked to you or played the game with you a little bit of perspective of where you're at in the community. And if you don't care, dude, we don't have to go through the whole thing because you've been on several times, but if you don't care, for any that don't know you or haven't heard your voice before, tell them a little bit about yourself and maybe how you found yourself playing Destiny and finding the DirtFam.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, back in the olden days when I didn't really play a lot of games multiplayer, I found this game called Destiny. It had a really cool single player kind of Halo feel to it, and I really liked it. And so I played all of year one of Destiny 1. And by the end of that, I was looking for opportunities to challenge myself with some of the best content in the game. And that all required a fire team. And so I started looking for clans, and that was right about the same time that Reset started up. And so that was essentially episode 1. I saw it because I'd just been searching for podcasts because I was just voracious. I could not get enough information about this game that I was really growing to love. And as a result, found Reset as you guys were just beginning. And then was just so glad to have found this place, this community, and I've just stuck with it ever since. As you mentioned before, my playtime has been cut significantly. I don't know whether famous or infamous for running many accounts. I used to play every day, all the time, as much as I was able to. I was single, actually, when I first started playing Destiny, so that had a huge impact on my habits. And as I've gotten married and had a family start, that has changed that part of it. So I went from playing like I think for the first year or two, I was on average 4 or 5 hours a day to now, we were talking about 4, and now I play like twice a week. So that has been a huge change. But up until even this last year, I maintained all 3 characters on both PlayStation and Xbox and kept them all current with all of the exotics and most of the triumphs and stuff done. So it's been an interesting shift, but I try to be around every now and then in the Discord and just try to welcome people and continue to just kind of do stuff when I can, Iron Banner and whatnot. But I like playing a lot of weird various loadouts and weapons and doing things that most people don't normally like to do. And that's kind of the way that I've approached this game and have found endless enjoyment from both it and being a part of a community like Destiny Reset. So I'm always glad to be able to come on the podcast and talk with people. And, we'll talk about this at the end, of course, but if you are not engaged in any kind of community and you want to come and hang out with some pretty chill, cool people, Reset is a wonderful place. It's just super welcoming and it's for usually people that are in kind of our arrows in my, state of life where you're in your, late 20s, 30s. You're looking for like adults instead of just a bunch of kids. And we have just a great group of people. So if you're looking for a community like that, I'd really encourage you to get in our Discord. There's great conversations happening every day, and we'd love to have you be a part of it.
Yes, as always, all Guardians are welcome through any age, but we do seem to center around, not that you have to, but kind of like the parent-ish Guardian. But yeah, man, it's your stories. It's always fun to have you on because your perspective of the game's always excellent to chat about. And then, we always kind of joked around with you because when we say Joe had alts, he didn't just have like alts on like 3 characters on one platform, but then he didn't just have alts on multiple platforms. He made other accounts to have other alts
this is
to run
true.
with. But what was great, man, is you always are willing to run. That's what's great about this community. So many Guardians like you willing to run with other Dirt fam, help them through raids, stuff like that. Obviously, your play time's changed some over the last many months, but you're always willing to do that stuff and help people out and just have a good time. So that's what the Dirt fam's all about, and it's cool, And actually, we talked about it before we hit record, but we're going to touch on a little subject we thought would be fun in Reset, just talking about how people play the game differently and how Bungie has done a great job at catering to those different types of player. And you've kind of transitioned from one end to the other now, and it'll be fun to talk about that, I think.
I think it will.
Yeah, we were just kind of nonchalantly talking about that before we hit record, and we're like, hey, this actually would be kind of a fun topic to touch on. But anyways, thanks for joining me this week. Obviously, Cyborg and I will probably be back at it together again next episode, next Reset. But this week, we got Awesome Joe. And I'm back, like I said, obviously. So we're gonna jump in. We missed Cyborg. He's a big part of the show, obviously, but we're gonna do our best. Joe and I, we've done it a few times. Joe, you had your own podcast there for a little bit too, right?
I did, yeah. It was called The Random Joe Show, and I played a bunch of random games that were in my backlog for a while, and always ended up talking about Destiny at some point because it's my favorite game. Yeah. But just talked about a variety of games and tried to just explore things I hadn't played before, and did that for probably about 3 months. And then that was right about the time that starting the whole parenting thing, and so needed to shift gears and focus more on family, and was able to do that. So
that's cool though. Yeah, it's a fun experience, and I caught it, and it was a good. I liked the perspective and the angle you were going with it. It was a cool idea. Very cool. Well, this week we do not have any announcements. I will say, you know what? I'll take this opportunity just to remind everyone that we do have a Dirt Fam Midwest meetup. This will be the second reminder for everyone. There'll probably be a couple more leading up to the event itself. But we have once a year, usually in the fall sometime, we have a Dirt Fan Midwest meetup. The Dirt Fan Reunion is what we call it. It is this year, October 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th. If you can only make one day, come on Saturday the 12th. But it is in Sedalia, Missouri is where it's at. And if you have any questions, you can message me, AER0KNIGHT with a 0, in Discord. It's discord.gg/destinyreset. Or you can message Scoreo70, SCOREO70. He is the one that basically hosts it for us. It's awesome. He's done it for 3 or 4 years. And that is the dates as of right now. Those should not be changing. So if you can make it, definitely try to do so. We'd love to have you. And if you have any questions, like I said, just message one of us. But we'll hope to have some more giveaways here coming soon, like we like to do. But anyways, moving on to the news. Of course, like we always do, Cyborg usually leads us into the TWAB. We have an interesting TWAB this week, Joe. An interesting announcement that we weren't expecting. I love the first sentence of the TWAB. It says, "This week at Bungie, we're taking the time to get it right." So if you guys hadn't seen, basically they are pushing back the launch of Destiny 2 Shadowkeep and New Light. New Light, of course, is the free-to-play aspect. It's so weird to say free-to-play. I feel like it needs another phrase for Destiny.
Yeah, I really feel like it does too. When I've tried to talk to other people about it, I've tried to stress how much awesome content and how they'll be able to keep up with people. But like free-to-play has so many connotations, we'll say.
Yeah,
that
I think maybe
really
it's
what Destiny is, you know?
Maybe it's as simple as saying it the other way: play for free.
But even then, that sounds like they're trying to trap you. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah,
that sounds like one of those games where they're like, "Oh, you can play it for free," and 5 minutes later, they're like, "All right, here's the gate. You know, $5 for entry, sir." You know, I feel like there's so many scuzzy practices that are so well known with that it's difficult to kind of like talk about what Destiny, as far as we've been able to tell, is gonna be as a free to play product.
Right.
But it just seems different than a lot of the other
ones.
Well,
and I tweeted out this week, I have a coworker, and he works for a company that's partnered with where I work, and we had spent some time together this week working on some things. And every time we get together, we end up talking about Destiny, and he asked me about it because he doesn't play it. He's not playing a lot right now, but he's definitely been an avid gamer in his life. And that was the first time it happened. I was like, actually, if you just want to wait till September, now October. And I'm like, you know, you can actually play for free. It's becoming free to play. And I stopped for a second. I'm like, wait a second. That definitely can be taken a bunch of different ways. Like, hold on. It's not free to play. It's hard to describe. Like, you basically can just jump in on this game and play nothing and experience all this awesome stuff, more than enough to decide if you like it. And then if you do, it sounds like, you know, like they've said, you're going to be able to a la carte the content. It's just something like Destiny has been through its entirety at this point. They're writing the book on what they're doing. And before we get too far into this, basically they're pushing it back to October 1st instead of September 17th. So just a couple weeks. But it does seem like, you know, it's what they're just doing their own thing, and it seems so cool all the way to this. You know, I've already heard, you know, through the different social avenues, nothing confirmed, but you know, it's very possible that in past releases maybe they've wanted to push it back a time or two, and you don't want to throw everything on Activision, but when you have that many players in the game, you know, as far as you know, investors and you know, people looking at the monetary aspect of it, it's more difficult to push something back. But Bungie is their own boss now, and if they feel like you know, they need a couple more weeks or a couple more months, in this case, luckily just a couple more weeks for us players, you know, my immediate response was, I'm cool with that. I have so much to do right now. And you know, maybe some don't feel this way. Maybe some don't have as much to do, but it's one of those things, it's like you always hear, of course we want to play it sooner, but if you need a little bit longer and the game is going to be better because of it, take all the time you need, right?
Yeah. I think like games like Anthem are, I think, examples of games where they come out and granted, and that game was delayed a bunch, and even so, when it came out, it was not done, not ready, and everyone knew it. And it got excoriated, and a lot of people, I think, are in the state of mind that they're like, sure, we'll wait, just make it good,
Right.
and that's where even, one of the things I've heard kicked around is maybe they're just trying to get out of the way of Borderlands 3, because Borderlands 3 comes out on the 13th of September. And maybe they were trying to move it away from that. Maybe they looked at it and said, look, we're just not ready to put that kind of product. And a game like Borderlands 3 has been in development for like 7 years, So it could just be that there is a growing acceptance, because I haven't seen anybody really mad that
the Destiny community is such a great community, right? And I think they know at this point, obviously we're passionate in many different regards, but they were probably pretty confident in knowing if they released this statement that it was going to be pretty well received. And I've heard the Borderlands thing too. It is, I did hear an angle on that. It's like, well, they knew that was coming out when they said the first date. So was it really Borderlands? But then at the same time, I've said this, we've said this many times on the show. I'm no game developer, but in monitoring it and watching games and playing games as long as I have, this time frame of a delay doesn't seem like it would do much in the regard of developing the game, at least Shadowkeep. And I don't know, again, no developer, so maybe the way games are made and released, maybe it's possible that it would. It just seems like it's something else, some other reason they decided to push it back a couple weeks. Who knows what it is.
Yeah, well, and
either way, it's
those
something.
Things are factors,
Right.
But at the same time, they told us why they need more time,
right? And that's all we need, right?
Yeah. So who knows what that's going to end up meaning? If it makes it a better game, awesome. Just like you were saying, I think one of the things that's helpful is we have so many things to do that I feel like people are like, this is totally okay,
Yeah, I'm not joking. When I read this, I was like, I kind of, as it normally happens, I kind of see it in my feed as I'm just scrolling Twitter before I actually see the official announcement, and I see people kind of chatting, and I'm like, wait, what is this? And I click on it, and then I find the Bungie tweet, and then I go to it, and I'm reading it, and I'm like, I don't even know if there was any ounce of, like I've had in the past, say a GTA was delayed or something, that I'm like, oh no way. I literally was just like, sweet, I have more time to do the things that I'd like to get done before Shadowkeep comes out.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I had the same reaction because I love doing Iron Banner stuff, and Iron Banner has been like one of my favorite things in Destiny for a long time. And I am so far behind on that quest because the last couple Iron Banners, I think one of the Iron Banners I couldn't even play. Like I was just out of town or busy or whatever. And so I was trying to make progress on it last week when we had one, or a couple weeks ago, whenever that was, and made a little bit of a dent into that quest. But I'm still trying to get that quest done. I want that armor.
I am too.
Like I got all the ornaments because that was back in the days of Destiny, So I want that armor set, and so I'm like, ooh, good, another Iron Banner and a delay, please, yes. I had the same exact response.
Yeah, and I think probably a lot of Guardians did. If there's many that get through the content maybe a little quicker than we do, but I think, there's all the way down to triumphs and stuff to grind. There's definitely more to do in the game than there's ever been before. But with this said, like we said, they did push it back to October 1st. I believe that's a Tuesday. I did have to tweak. I'm going to have to tweak my vacation days because I'm taking at least one day of vacation from work. And I never can decide if I want to take the day it releases because it doesn't usually drop until midday, or if I want to be at work when it drops and take the next day off. Usually the next day is better because you get a full day of play. But anyways, I'm gonna tweak the calendar. They even acknowledged that they did. If you guys didn't catch it, there's a new post on their website called New Launch Window. It's a very good post. We don't have to read the whole thing, but they talk about, we understand, you take vacation days and stuff like that, and it wasn't a decision they made lightly. Just to kind of quote what they dropped here in the TWAB from Luke Smith and Mark Noseworthy, they said, as we've been getting closer and closer to serving up Shadowkeep a new light, it has become increasingly clear to us that our releases for this fall would benefit from a bit more time in the oven. Being independent means that the future of Destiny 2 is entirely on our team. It also means that we're agile enough to choose to do what's best for the game and our players, even if it's a hard choice. We wanted to let you know, our community, be the first to know that we're changing the date for Shadowkeep a New Light from September 7th to October 1st. And what this is also doing, of course, it's changing the world first for the new raid, which is Garden of Salvation. That'll be launching on Saturday, October 5th. And this is a first, right, Joe? This is what many Guardians have asked for a long time. I want to get Cyborg's take on this next week. This is the first weekend launch of a raid, isn't it? I think so. Is it not?
No.
I really thought it was.
No. So, if I'm remembering all my history correctly, Vault of Glass was 1 week after. Taken King, it was the weekend after. So it would have been that Friday.
Friday, right? Right.
Yeah.
But this one's not beginning until Saturday.
Oh, yeah. That'd be the first time for a Saturday raid.
Saturday, yes. But
Yeah.
You're right. A couple have launched on Friday,
Fridays.
right?
Yeah.
So I think
Fridays or Tuesdays.
I think what the big deal is on this one is it's launching on a Saturday, so many Guardians, without having to take a vacation day, of course, and things of that nature, will possibly be able to participate in a world first attempt. But I have heard some wonders and worries that is it too much time to prep for it? There's always a conversation about not enough time, too much time. Are you going to be able to gear up too much? This and that. But I think, long story short, it'll be interesting to just see how this pans out for the players, to see how they feel about a Saturday launch and, that time frame. At least, to kind of get feedback, at least for Bungie's sake, to get feedback on that. But anyways, man, you're taking it way back to the Vault of Glass days. Wasn't it? Was it a month after Destiny launched that they lost? Did you say a week, or I thought it was longer than that?
It was a week.
Man, I thought it was longer than that on the original VOG.
Nope.
Maybe I'm thinking
all
of
the raids
Heroic.
have launched within. I think the longest raid from launch to raid, I think, is Last Wish.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a week and a half. I think that's the longest one we've had. It might have been 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Well, my rating days have been not happening for quite some time now.
Yeah, you and me both. So
yeah, it's been a while since I rated on all three characters each week. I do still enjoy it, but again, we talked about that and may hit on it again. A reset. The way we play the game now, raids, as much as we love them, it's hard to get them in sometimes. But with this announcement, they're extending Moments of Triumph through September 17th. So you'll have 3 more weeks to complete this year's challenges and unlock all of the in-game Bungie rewards. Like Joe said, they're going to have an additional Iron Banner the week of September 17th, so that'll help. Of course, we'll learn about some tweaks they did to that Iron Banner quest, but that'll give you a little longer on that. Mm-hmm. Here's the cool one. Cross save will come online later this summer, so you'll have time to sort out your friends list well ahead of Shadowkeep. And I think Luke Smith or Deej, it might have been Deej, tweeted. He actually said that cross save is coming in August.
Yes,
it sounded like later in August.
I think it was
right?
a Deej clarification. It is coming in this month.
So that's awesome. I mean, when you kind of think it's all just going to launch together, but when you think about it, something like that would be smart to launch sooner so that everybody can prep and be ready for it. So that's really cool to be able to, tackle that and get your plans together well before.
Absolutely. Well, I was really hoping they would too, because I don't want to be fumbling with that the day of new content drop. I want to be fumbling with that on a day where there's not really anything big going on, and I can make sure that it's tuned the way I want it to. I'm looking forward to cross save tremendously. We've been talking about how we're only able to play on one character, and I'd love to go back and play with a lot of guys on Xbox, but I haven't been able to play at all on Xbox. I've just been struggling to keep up one account. So
Yeah, I'm right there with you. We've talked about it on the show. Like, I can't wait to. I have all 3 platforms. You know, obviously, people that won't benefit as much from this as they would crossplay or something. But I will buy it on all 3 platforms, PC and both consoles, and I can't wait to just be able to hop on whichever that night to play with, different members of the Dirt Fam and others. So it's going to be really cool. And I can't, it's close, man. Like, we're in the month that cross save is going to launch. So that's exciting. But anyways, like we said, there's a whole article that they posted out there, not too much longer than what we've covered already, but if you want to check it out on bungie.net, they do give us some nice new wallpapers. It's actually funny because I saw somebody tweeted out that they searched Destiny 2 Shadowkeep on Steam. I think it might have been Nim, maybe. But these images came up, and then sure enough, they were in the TWAB that day. But these are some really cool images, man. They give us a 4K wallpaper with the Shadowkeep logo and everything. But this is some new armor, right? It's got the fortress behind them there, but this is some very astronaut-y looking armor. So it's pretty cool. What do you think of it?
Well, that's still, I mean, it's very much the moon theme, right? I mean, like,
right.
they have the idea of us coming back to, what was for mankind. We look back at that as past, this really special, we made it to the moon. And for them, they even have these bases that were built on the moon. And part of the question you ask, even in the original Destiny, is what happened? Why is everyone gone? And I think that it's really cool that we're going back there. And I think a lot of the armor, just like you said, is going to kind of reprise some of those same themes. And it's going to look like a lot of what we settled the moon with,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it's cool, man. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. I think that their art is just always off the charts. They just do such a great job.
Yeah, the Titan looks very much like an astronaut. The Hunter looks almost kind of spooky, and the Warlock's just got kind of some interesting stuff going on, and the weapons they're holding as well. The material looking cloth wrapped stuff that's on the Warlock's little I don't know, auto rifle, SMG, something.
I'll bet you anything that they're all holding exotic weapons.
Oh, I'm sure, right? That's usually what they do, isn't it? Yeah. It looks cool though, man. Like, this stuff looks great. But they dropped those on us in the TWAB if you guys want to save those images out there, use them for your backgrounds or anything. But yeah, that's the news. Let us know what you guys think on the delay at Destiny Reset, or you can email us at destinyresetpodcast@gmail.com. Interested to hear your take. I think, like you said, Joe, I haven't seen too many people upset about that with so much to do in the game. Speaking of, right now we're almost a week into Solstice of Heroes.
Yeah, Solstice.
Yeah, they dropped that in, just a little tidbit about that. It looks like what we're going to get a 3-day cycle of the elemental buffs. Right, and there's a new. We'll talk about this more in Reset, but just to touch on it, they tell us the European aerial zone is live. I'm sure many of you have experienced that already at this point. It looks like they tweeted out each day. I did see one of these as they were tweeting them out, but they say we're only on day 3 of the event. Of course, we're a few more days into it than that. Said we're already seeing legendary armor sets and moments of triumph titles out there, which is crazy, dude. I've seen them even in my Twitter feed, already having that moments of triumph completed with that nice crispy title. Have you seen any running around?
Yeah, I was actually in a strike earlier tonight, or maybe it was yesterday, and I was flying in. And I get in there and I see these 2 guys up ahead of me, and I'm like, "What title is that?" They both had the new title for the moments of triumph, for all the triumphs. So
it kind of throws you off because it looks like a video game, like a Final Fantasy title or something.
It sure does. It sure does.
But yeah, and then many legendary armor sets. I'm still on green, so
yeah, me too. Yeah, green buddies.
Yep, we'll talk about that, I'm sure. But man, those people with the legendary, I totally have it as a goal to get it done on my Titan and multiple characters I don't know about. But again, we'll get into more of our thoughts on Solstice so far when we get into Reset. They do continue on with basically a Season of Opulence, post-Season of Opulence calendar, if you will, especially with the tweaks to the release dates and such. They say, with 2 more weeks on our Season of Opulence calendar, we're taking an opportunity to make players feel truly opulent. Like they said, they've extended Moments of Triumph. They just going over this calendar, really. We already know, of course, Solstice is July 30th through August 27th. We're getting an Iron Banner on August 27th. We're actually going to have a patch drop 2.5.2.2 on September 3rd. And then Moments of Triumph Week and Infamy Boost will be September 10th through September 17th. And then we get our additional Iron Banner that they mentioned on September 17th, that reset through the 24th. And then the September 24th through October 1st, which will be when Shadowkeep launches at the end of that reset, we're getting Mayhem, a Valor boost, and an Infamy boost. So I am happy to see these 2 Infamy boosts. We haven't had one of those yet in Opulence, right?
No, we haven't. Infamy. They did them a bunch in Season of the Drifter.
Yeah. See,
they hadn't come back to this.
I knew they always do it right at the end of a season, and I'm like, surely I know they did one, at least one before that, because I was like 1 rank shy of getting Dredgen. All I needed was, when I say rank, not reset, like I was 1 rank shy, and I just couldn't stay up late enough on that last night to get it. I'm like, I'll do this next season, and you have to get the 3 resets or whatever. But I've been told multiple things. Maybe you can clarify this for me. I've been told you actually don't have to get 3 resets in 1 season. You just have to reset it 3 times. But I don't feel like that is accurate. Do you have to get...
So, I'm not sure. Initially, it was that you had to get 3 in the same season.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember whether they relaxed that in one of the patches.
Because I know you have to get 3. You got to get 3 resets in 1 season, maybe for an emblem or the ghost. It might just be the emblem. I can't remember. So I'm like, of course, yeah, I'll just do that so I can get the emblem or whatever. But then somebody was telling me, because I didn't make it, I was talking about it, and they were like, oh no, you just reset 1 more time if you already got 2, and you'll get it. But I feel like I've already, this will be my 4th reset. I could be wrong. I've spent some time in Gambit, but not a ton. So it could only be the, leading up to the 3rd that I'm working on. But I won't know because I've been waiting for this Infamy boost, because it's funny how you prioritize everything in Destiny. I'm like, there's so much else to do right now. I don't want to spend my time in Gambit when I could wait for a boost. And it's not that I don't enjoy Gambit. It's just like, it's all about maximizing your time in your play these days, right? It's like, why spend, again, Gambit is fun, but I don't want to spend double or triple the amount of time in Gambit when I could just wait for the boost and accomplish my goal quicker.
Yep. I don't blame you.
You don't want to work the game to work against itself, or Bungie to, but it's like, at this point, there's so much to do. You have to think that way, right?
You almost do. Like, and the way that I kind of approach some of that stuff, like, once I saw kind of the steep cliff of things like Hush and Wendigo, I've just been plodding away. So, like, I do my 3 matches for my like weekly thing, or if I have any bounty that like overlaps, I'm like, all right, I'll do that. And I play a match or 2 or a strike or 2, and I do those things like passively, but it's going to take me the full season to get either of those things done. I still don't have Wendigo or Hush finished. I have all of the bow kills for Hush. I just don't have, I'm like 50% on the medals.
Right.
Because the medals takes forever.
And you do have to spend some time in there for the pinnacle weapons. So, if it's just the title I'm going for, of course, yeah, wait for the infamy. But those other things, you do kind of have to work on them. I love that they carry over into the seasons, like the ones that don't have the reset requirements.
Yeah.
But I've been doing the same thing. I'm probably like only a third of the way to Hush. I really want that bow though for the Crucible. But I'm almost halfway for Wendigo. And it's one of those things, like you said, you just kind of, it's in the mini game that has happened. Somebody tweeted me too. I had been talking on Twitter this past week or two, and I got a lot of responses when I tweeted out, like, do you ever feel like there's so much to do in the game that you just don't know what to do? And I'll log in some nights, and it's a fun mini game once I like hone in and decide what I'm going to do. But it really is a fun mini game because I'll sit there before I start and I'm like, okay, I go look at different sub menus and this, pursuit and this and this and this. And I'm like, okay, I think I'm maximizing all of my potential completionist aspects, right? Like, I've got this grenade launcher out. I'm going to do this thing. I've got this bounty. And then they drop Solstice on you. And you're like, okay, let me go take a look at those bounties and see what I could be doing. And sometimes it can be overwhelming, but it's kind of turned into a mini game of itself. I mean, I don't know what you think about it. Is it overwhelming sometimes, Joe?
I think for me it's not, because the way that I approach it generally is that I've been able to keep up with some of the major milestones, right? So like when Outbreak, when Outbreak dropped, I was like, okay, I got to get on and do Outbreak. And so for the next week, like, my goal was to get Outbreak because I didn't have like a ton of time to invest into it or into play sessions for it. So it took me a whole week, to get that gun and to get it done. I think it might even take me 2 weeks. But that was my goal. And so anything that like lined up with that quest, I then worked on.
Yep.
And so for me, like, whether it's with recently what's the Thornhand cannon? Lumina, yeah. And then with Bad Juju.
I've had
most
my
recently, and
Rose
now with the
equipped.
Solstice sets.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, my Rose is equipped because I haven't finished that one yet either. I'm on that step. So yeah, I'm the same as you. You like sync them all up, right?
Yeah. So for me, like, it's been like, I like how they've released stuff because they give you kind of like a really valuable, really desirable pursuit. And then like it's tangentially connected to all of these other pursuits that you can go after, all of these other things that you can do. And that has kind of helped to narrow my focus so that when I get on, it's not a question of like, oh, what am I going to do? It's like, I want the Bad Juju. So what do I need to do next for Bad Juju? Okay, I got to run strikes, or I got to do these 3 bounties for today. Okay, well, I'll run strikes. Well, while I'm running strikes, I'm going to work on Wendigo.
Yep.
Okay, well, I got to do Gambit matches. Okay, well, while I'm doing Gambit matches, I'm going to run bow and arrow. Like, so I've kind of just synced it up, but I feel like there are the bigger pieces that have made it easier for me to hone in on, okay, I want X. So I've got to do it. Or it's Iron Banner. I want to get that armor set. Now what can I match with it?
Right. Yeah.
That's kind of how I've approached it. So I haven't had to sit down and think, what am I going to do today? Like, I know what I want.
Right.
And I don't have enough time to do it all.
There's definitely a mini game. Again, someone mentioned this to me. It's a mini game outside of the game too. Like, you don't even have to be in the game to prep how you're going to tackle your play session. And, I've heard the feedback from players, that did like a more casual aspect of the game, that this version of the game is quite overwhelming and can seem like it's hard to keep up, but you almost have to. You can still play the game the way you did before. Like, I of course, like, want Outbreak's Catalyst, but I don't know when I'm going to get it, and I'm just okay with that. Like, I can get the exotic. Same for Bad Juju. I don't know if or when I'll get the Catalyst, and I do want it, but I'm okay with not getting it, right? Like, I got Bad Juju, and I'm playing the game, and there's so much other stuff to do. So that's kind of where they're catering, on one of many different ways to the different, kinds of player of the game. So
no, 100%. And that's why, like, I appreciate so much what they did with Catalyst, because like last year, before my son was born, I wanted every single Catalyst, and I got almost all of them. And now, like, I'm just like, I just want the weapon. So if I get the weapon, I'm happy. Like, once they share the Catalyst thing, I'm like, yeah, that's not for me. That's for somebody else. That's for me 6 months ago, Just like you said, it'd be nice to have it, but I just am okay with what I can get. And so for me, like, I just go after those big things and then, just leave the rest undone.
Right. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, it's cool, man. It's, there's plenty to do right now. They give us a tease of the patch, 2.5.2.2. Some of this stuff is, we already know, they talk about, this is the patch that will be dropping on September 3rd. that reset. They say Moments of Triumph extended through September 17th, which we know already, they've told us. Gambit, Prime, and Reckoning weapon reward rates will be highly increased. And then it says they will also have bad luck protection to guarantee a drop after a set amount of runs. So that's cool. They've got Reckoning difficulty will be tuned to be more welcoming as you hunt for rewards. It's interesting to see these tweaks on Reckoning well into the season after. Reckoning was a cool mode, but it definitely got the feedback from the community in different regards. Drop rates being one of them. This is an interesting one, man. This way back to hunting my Wayfarer title. Braytech schematics will no longer have a daily lockout and will give better chances toward weapons that players do not own. Anyone that has hunted or is hunting Wayfarer completely understands this.
Oh, absolutely. I gave up. I did this for like a week and I was like, never again. I'm done.
Yeah.
I never came back to it.
Before I knew there was a daily lockout, I went through like 150 of whatever that material is. I forget. And then I learned that there was an unknown, undetermined, specified daily lockout. At least I didn't read it anywhere, or nobody that I followed had seen it officially said. Maybe it was
speculation. I never saw it officially confirmed, but I remember when there was somebody who ran tests and said, I think this is what it is.
Yeah. So I went through like almost all of them, and then I came across that. And sure enough, I started just when I would get one, I would do it every evening, and I would get one and then not touch them again until the next evening if I was on. And dude, that Wayfarer, I very much love my Wayfarer title. It's the first one I decided to go for. It's actually still the only one I have until I probably get dredging. And I love that title, and I love seeing it running around. But man, like the others in different ways, man, that one was an interesting. It's definitely RNG in some elements, a bit of a grind. But that was an interesting one to see in here just randomly.
The Reckoning one is another important thing that I'm really excited about, because I didn't really play Reckoning because, like I had mentioned before, that was the high time of, oh crap, I can't really play anymore, right, like I used to. And so I just totally abandoned a lot of those pursuits. And one of the things that they did in their balance patch at the beginning of the summer was they toned down our supers and made it so that we couldn't just constantly chain those supers. And for me, like, it's not even that fun. Like, I never found it to be fun to just, you have to run this subclass and you have to have a team of people that are all running coordinated. Like, that's not enjoyable to me. I know a lot of people love it. More power to them. I didn't. And so when they toned down those supers, they made it a lot less accessible. So even if I wanted to go back and do it, like, I felt like I shouldn't, because it would just be miserable. And so I think the retuning of this activity so that you can go back and actually get these things, like, I will probably, after they put this patch in, before the Shadowkeep comes out, I'll probably put some time into getting some of my Reckoning stuff done. Yeah, I'm glad they're doing that.
I enjoyed the mode. I like any kind of horde mode. So yeah, it's cool that they're making some tweaks here to get people back in that playlist. One that I didn't know was coming, if I missed it somewhere, they say Mountaintop and Wendigo GL3, those pinnacle quests will become more accessible. Specific quest objectives will be tuned based on player feedback. And again, this is a patch preview that's dropping September 3rd, almost a month before Shadowkeep. So that's interesting. I mean, Wendigo is a bit of a grind. Mountaintop is as well, and I would love to have Mountaintop. I've been using Fighting Lion in strikes and absolutely having a blast, if I must say so. But I used Flash and Thunder before they nerfed it. And I have a video out on my YouTube channel where it's like No Land Beyond. That weapon just clicked with me. And I hadn't used one since they nerfed that thing. And when I took Fighting Lion into some strikes, dude, like, it immediately came back to me. So it put this drive in me to want to get Mountaintop and use it in the Crucible. So I'm kind of glad to see this, because I've jumped in and thought about working on my Mountaintop. I am working on Wendigo, but a Mountaintop is intense. It takes some dedication. It's really
slow.
I think that's any player that's gotten it.
Well, you have to do it in competitive, because it's 4 times faster,
right?
3 or 4 times faster in competitive than it is in the regular playlists. I mean, I basically was using grenade launchers for a while, and I would say I'm like slightly above average at PvP, and I'm at like 20% on some of. I have all the kills, but getting the calculated trajectory medals and getting the double
kills,
the multi kills are crazy.
And
some
I've
of it
seen
too is I refuse to use colony. I'm just using like militia.
I have had it
and
at once.
Fighting lion, and it's just miserable.
Well, fighting lion, dude, you have to.
I want mountaintop.
You have to hit them in the face twice or 3 times sometimes with fighting lion if it's not direct enough the first 2 times.
Yeah,
and it's
rough,
even
with fighting lion. Even if you get a direct hit, you have to hit him twice.
Oh yeah, twice, and without a doubt. And it's fun, and I really enjoy it. But yeah, it makes me want mountaintop because of what it can do. I want to use it in the Crucible, and of course we know it's crazy DPS and PvE right now. But it'll be interesting to see how they tweak them. I'm going for Wendigo for sure either way, but if they tweak mountaintop, not that I wouldn't go for it now, but it is just, it's rough right now. Again, grats to Indie Guardian that has done that. They've got a few more here. There will be multiple weeks of increased valor and infamy, which we talked about. That'll be coming forward through into September. Iron Banner will be accompanied by increased valor when it jumps back up. That's kind of a usual thing, I think. And then they say that as the season comes to a close, the menagerie chests will become more rewarding as Callus sees fit. That's an interesting one. I wonder how they're going to do that. If it's going to be obviously percentage drop rate increase, but how will it work with the perks? When you get 2 of something already, it'll be interesting to see how they incorporate that. They also say on the week of Destiny 2 update, they'll host a community challenge of sorts as well. So they do want to clarify, Moments of Triumph has been extended to the September 17th date, but Solstice of Heroes will still end on August 27th. So the big kicker to that is if you want to complete all your Moments of Triumph, you have to make sure you earn your Legendary Solstice set and masterwork at least one piece of it before the August 27th deadline. That's how you will get that last Triumph to complete your Moments of Triumph. So big clarification there. I think, I haven't looked myself. I've watched some videos, but again, I'm on my green set. When you get to Legendary, I've seen that you can masterwork it, take as long as you want to masterwork it. It's just, you need to get to Legendary before Solstice is over. Is that right?
That's how last year's worked, I think. I didn't get them into Legendary last year, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
See, I wondered about that because I did go back and look at my old gear, and I did end up masterworking everything, I think, but the helmet. And I'm pretty sure the helmet was the one that required something to do with a raid. But I couldn't remember if you could do it after the fact or not. But regardless, that's definitely a nice little thing there. So hopefully that is the case. So you can get that Legendary, and then I've seen and seen the character screenshots. Man, that armor is beautiful, dude. Like those, I'm going to probably spend some money. I don't have a lot of Bright Dust. I haven't spent a lot of money in Eververse. I think I did this last year when I wanted the glows, but the big thing is the glows will go past the event itself. So that's big. And also the armor, this armor, of course, you'll get 2.0 versions of this armor, like we've talked about. So that's another big thing with this armor, which is very cool, as long as you get the Legendary set, I believe. So I don't know. We'll talk about more of our thoughts on Solstice when we get into Reset to kind of cruise through the TWAB here. We've got, of course, Destiny player support. They do issue a little statement here that with the Solstice key fragment magnets, basically shortly after Solstice launched, they identified an issue where Solstice key fragment magnets were not improving the drop rates of Solstice key fragments. To mitigate further impact from this issue, they removed them from Eververse and the storefront, and disabled it in players' inventories. And then they said, as we investigate the issue, they plan to restore Bright Dust to affected players. As usual, there's some other things in here. Nothing too crazy. They do say the 2 new emblems dropped. If you played the laser tag weekend with the Prometheus, is that right? Yeah, Prometheus lens. That emblem dropped in your Postmaster's special order this week, and also the Wolves Unleashed emblem, which is if you play it at, what is it, the last Iron Banner or with Lord of Wolves?
This one or the one we just had, or the one before that?
One before, yeah. Yeah, so those two emblems are in your Postmaster. They do say, though, that they will not be in your collections until a later date. So don't delete them from your inventory if you want to sport them. Keep them old school. Keep them in your inventory. Don't dismantle them.
Put them in your vault.
Yes, back in the day when we had emblems in our vault, didn't have collections. We did have the kiosks after a while, though. Didn't take too long. Okay, so that's the gist. There's a few more things in Destiny player support, but nothing too crazy. We can move on. Did you watch any of these movies of the week, dude? I gotta say, this first one could possibly be like easily in my top 3. The Destiny Mario Kart.
I'll have to watch it. Then I haven't watched the ones this week.
It's good, man. They take the little sparrow, which I'm probably gonna have to buy with Bright Dust before the reset's over, and they kind of overlap it the screen with old school Mario-ish looking UI, and even as they pass each other, the little avatars swap positions, and it's got kind of like some Mario Kart sound and music. It's good, dude. It's clever, very clever. I enjoyed it. Watch it if you guys haven't seen it. Of course, we got another metal cover of the Galron boss theme, and then we got a nice little clip of some slide shots with the sniper rifle. Quite a streak they went on. But anyways, excellent movies of the week, of course. We do have a special little announcement for one of the Bungie team members here. Cosmo didn't write the TWAB this week. DMG did. And it's because, I believe in his tweet, Cosmo said, yes, here it is, 3 weeks early, their new baby girl, their second baby girl was born. So congratulations to Cosmo and family. Very cool. Two girls, I believe, it was funny because he said this little Titan was ready to break out. So clever.
That's great.
Very clever. Yep. So congratulations on that. Joe, do you have any more thoughts on anything we covered in the TWAB before we move on to some patch notes and into reset?
Nope. Just looking forward to what's ahead. And I think they've gotten better and better as just communicating what's coming up and what to expect, and at handling the things that aren't functioning correctly. And it's cool.
Yeah. Yep. No, I agree, man. Definitely. We did get patch notes. Of course, we did have a patch drop with Solstice. This was 2.5.2. This one, I mean, we knew several of these that were coming. Of course, one of the big ones was Lord of Wolves. Speaking of that emblem, they did make some tweaks to Lord of Wolves. They reduced the amount of ammo that Shotgun Scavenger perks can give to Lord of Wolves when it is in the Release the Wolves state. They decreased the effective range of Lord of Wolves, and then they decreased. This decrease is more aggressive when the weapon is actually in the Release the Wolves state. So a nerf of sorts on Lord of Wolves. I honestly, on console, I think it was maybe more prevalent on PC, but I didn't run into it too much on console. But again, we were expecting that one. They did have another fix on here where on perks, the issue that allowed the Feeding Frenzy perk to be applied to any weapon. So that was kind of a random one there. Joe, to any of these, these days we don't go over every single patch note just because they're pretty frequent and there's usually plenty. Is anything in here jump out at you that you wanted to share with the listeners?
Just that they made the Iron Banner quest easier to complete. So that's because I'm working on that. That's one of the ones that I was pretty aware of. Other than that, it's just kind of what you mentioned with Lord of Wolves adjustment. And it's funny that you say that. I think I hadn't really heard anybody complaining on console, and it makes sense to me that it would be a PC related thing because nobody was running Lord of Wolves really. I mean, in Iron Banner when I played.
Yeah, I ran into it a little bit, like right when the topic got hot and heavy, and then it wasn't really much after that. And maybe that was just my experience. Maybe some other console players did, but I think I did catch in the feeds here and there that it was kind of more of a little bit more of a PC thing. Yeah, and you definitely are right on the Iron Banner. They specifically they reduced the grenade kill requirement by 50%. They also made it to where ally grenade kills are worth as much as your own. And then they reduced the sword kill required by 25 and also allowing ally sword kills as much as your own. So that'll be nice. Not that I want the game to be easier, but there's so much to grind these days. That'll be nice for the next 2 Iron Banners to have that. Another thing they did with Menagerie and the Chalice, the Heroic Menagerie now drops a sword for the first time completion, like 100%. You will get a sword to drop on the Heroic Menagerie, and then subsequent completions have a moderate chance. They say it's 25%. I like how they're telling us the percentages too. They've been doing that more and more over the last many months. So that's an interesting, cool change for the Heroic Menagerie. So
I still haven't done one of those yet, but
I have not either.
This gives me more incentive to maybe try it.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like I have a page-long list, and I try to prioritize it. And then you think about things like Iron Banner. I want to get that quest done, and it's like, okay, I gotta try to get in a position where I can be ready for Iron Banner when it comes up. And then I think about things like Shattered Throne. I actually have not completed Shattered Throne. It's
I love Shattered Throne. I've done that several times. I even Sherped a couple through it. It's such a good activity.
It's just funny
more dungeons.
How differently you can play this game. I mean, we talk about it every week, and you just have different things that are of importance, for your play session. And maybe importance isn't the right word. Like, I want to do it. It's just like, the way you play the game, your play sessions and prioritizing Shattered Throne just hasn't made it. And I know it's coming up next week. I got the little tooltip, and I'm like, okay, maybe next week will be the week, so I won't be a noob anymore, and I can actually say I've done a pass through it.
Yeah, well, if you want to do it through PS4 and our times overlap, I'd be happy to guide you through it.
We might do that, man. We might have to do that. It's next week, so I need to start mentally preparing myself and get my to-do list around a Shattered Throne clear next week.
Yeah. Well, I'm on vacation next week, so it's a good overlap.
Ooh, it is. We might have to coordinate something, man. Mm-hmm. Well, that's cool, dude. We'll have to. We're on the same console. We don't need cross save for that. Not yet.
Not yet.
That works. Well, cool, dude. Yeah, that's the patch notes. There's more, of course, guys. There's some more bullet points out there. If you want to check it out, just go to Bungie.net. They've always got a thumbnail out there on their most recent hotfix. You'll see it on the main page. With that said, Joe, I think it's time for me to ask you, how was your reset?
It was amazing. I got Bad Juju, and I freaking love that gun so much. I can't even tell you. That was one of my favorite exotics in Destiny 1, and I used the crap out of it, and I am so excited to have it back. So it's
Bad Juju's. It's
so good.
It's a good one.
The first exotic that I've gotten recently that has been able to wrest the Jotun out of my hand, because that exotic is it's so good. That is probably my favorite Destiny 2 exotic of all of them. Is probably Jotun, and ever since I got it, I just don't use anything else unless I'm working on a bounty or unless there's a burn that I absolutely need to switch for. And so I'll grudgingly switch over to my loaded question or, something like that. Usually it's a loaded question, cause it's fusion rifles. Best. Love them. But man, since I got Bad Juju, it's like, I could run loaded question today and then I can run Bad Juju.
Yep.
So it's one of the few exotics I'm running these days, and that really has kind of punctuated the reset for me. Other than that, I've just been doing Solstice Armor and starting to work on that and start to close down some of my objectives for the season. So it's been a great reset. I'm enjoying the game and looking forward to what's to come. How about for you? How was your reset?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, of course I've been off the show a couple weeks, and I've just been doing the usual. Iron Banner, of course, I did take some time to play that. I played more of the last Iron Banner than this one. I think I had some other stuff I was trying to get done, but I'm probably about halfway through that quest, still kind of working on it. And I'm at the point where you got to get the grenade kills, so the next one will be nice to have a tweak on that possibly, or at least the last one. But I did get bad juju as well. I believe since recording last, so that was exciting. I had to do some work, use some materials, did some discounts, and drop some tokens to get some legendary shards to work Spider a little bit to get like my last couple so that I could get bad juju.
Yeah, definitely.
Ran that mission solo, which I think you said you did the same before we started recording.
That mission was incredible. It was so fun. Good.
Yep, it was good. Enjoyed that, yeah, and I've just been kind of slowly grinding towards Wendigo and Hush as well. Like I said, I really want that bow for Crucible just because of the way that I've used bows in the past. I love them, and that pinnacle perk on that thing procs whenever you, I believe, get a crit from hipfire, which is the way I played a lot with the bows early on in Forsaken. So I really kind of want that bow, but it's been easier to grind for Wendigo recently just because there's been other reasons to be in strikes, kind of like you mentioned. And yeah, and kind of even working on the green armor right now in Solstice, there's some strike requirements and such. So it's just kind of worked out that I'm further along with Wendigo. I love the Pinnacle quest though. It's cool. They're a grind, but it's cool to have a long-term Pinnacle weapon to work towards. I do like that structure.
I agree. They're one of my favorite things in the game. And I 100% I agree with you that it's nice to just kind of work at it little by little.
It feels cool to get one, like, fully masterworked. You get it and you're like, and then it's still when I throw on my Loaded Question or my Revoker or, it still feels cool to throw it on, even though, many Guardians have it, not every Guardian has them, depending on which one they are as well. And it's cool to just throw them on and be like, yep. Even the Oxygen SR, I just got that at the beginning of this season, I think. And, I didn't even get it in last season, and it's still, I enjoy that weapon, and it's cool to have it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They all have like a very special kind of feel to them. It's hard to describe, but they really did a great job with the Pinnacle weapons, and they're one of my favorite things to pursue.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, and I forgot one of my favorite ones is the Gambit heavy machine gun. That one was great to get as well. That thing's a beast. But I've been doing something random these past couple of resets too. I've been trying to mix up my armor. I get set in my ways on my armor and look a certain way for a really long time, and I enjoy that. But I've been trying to switch it up. I even got that weird. I don't even remember the name of it. I'll have to look. I actually have my game loaded up here on a different screen. Let me look real quick. I don't even know how to say it. Torah something celebration mask. The one that's like the cat looking. I think it's a Forsaken Strike exclusive mask. I could be wrong. I've like totally tried to mix up my armor style this past couple of resets, which has been like a fun little mini game in and of itself, right? It's always about the fashion in Destiny as well. So I've kind of been doing that. This is something random on the side, trying to find of course, perks playing that as well. I came across a Black Armory chest piece that I have, and I love the way that chest piece looks for the Titan, but my perks, my roll on it is horrible. So I even ran like a Forge to see if I could get another one to drop, and I had no luck on that. But there's just so much to chase. That reminded me that I still want the ship from the Forges. We talked about that many episodes back, and I'm probably a good 50 to 70 frames away from getting that thing.
Yeah.
That one's.
I've given up on the armor front at this point. I have the perks that I like, which it's so different to see people talk about what perks they want on their stuff, like PvP players particularly versus like what I use it for, which is primarily PvE. So like I have all my armor sets the way I want them perk wise, and I just put on the same shader on everything so that they kind of look like they match a little bit. Yeah. And that's just what I do at this point. I've given up completely the idea of grinding for armor rolls because I've got the rolls I want. I don't need to look nice.
Yeah, and I definitely I've gotten a set or two of all the perks that I want, and it's it's what I did grind for it a little bit just as I played the game, and it's the way that I've liked my Titan to look, and I've kind of tried to find some other options. But yeah, that's definitely a grind in and of itself. It's interesting once you masterwork that set, which took me a while to do. It's like, okay, I'm just gonna stick with this one.
Yeah,
swap
definitely.
in and out an exotic here and there. But that's always part of the game. But speaking of Solstice, we talked about that. What you said you played it some. What are your thoughts on the event so far? We're almost a full reset into it.
I feel like there's still some little intricacies to it that I don't understand yet. The EAZ is so fun. I really, really like it. I think it's a great activity. I think it's really well put together. And it seems like I feel like it's once again like the best iteration of that kind of thing they've made. And I really am impressed with it. I thought it would just be little, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, it'll be a little more than what they've been doing in the past. And I was very impressed with it. I think it's really fun. It's really good. It's more repeatable than I think the other stuff was, like the haunted forest and stuff. I love the chests spawning in random spots around the map at the end, which I guess is not actually random. But like I said, there's some intricacies I need to learn, but I'm having a good time with it. It's been really enjoyable.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm always down for those horde-based kind of modes. This one, I haven't played a lot yet, but I did experience it, and I do like it so far. I have heard the criticism. It is interesting to try to get to the bosses, to try to traverse some of the area through the buildings and such. But overall, I like it. I agree. I've always wanted like a constant horde mode in this game that kind of goes across, not something new every season, but even though they've still done the something new every season, it has grown and built, and it's been a more fun iteration almost every time. And this one, so far from what I've played, I need to put in some more time and just see how it feels after playing it a lot, but it definitely is fun. I like chasing down the bosses. I like they almost have like how I used to feel with Prison of Elders, like when you get the chest portion of the activity. When you get to that point, like it's fun, right? It's like you're going to get rewarded, and it's like, how much can I get rewarded before the timer's up?
Yeah, I really like it. I think it's really well done. And I think the biggest thing as an improvement over the last iteration of it, which I really liked as well, was that one just dragged on way too long. That if you were doing well, that could go for a half hour, 45 minutes. This is like, it's on a timer, 15 minutes and it's done. You know, 10 minutes and it's done. And that includes like the going and finding the chests and the boss battle and everything. Like you're in, you're out, you get the loot, and it's really fun, and then you want to do it again.
Right. Yeah. And they didn't try to go crazy different on the armor. People seemed to like it last year. The only thing that I had was last year, I remember, and this, wasn't necessarily a negative. It was just for my play style. The ship that you could get last year with grinding all three characters was, I didn't even have three characters at that time. And we've come to learn that's part of the game now. It's different layers of playtime, I guess, if you will. And then this one, they haven't built on it, I'd say, a crazy ton, but the armor's cool. I like getting the armor. I like grinding things. It is a grind, to get to legendary. I haven't fully experienced it myself. I've seen friends and I've seen in my feed, it is a slog. It's a grind. But it doesn't seem like it's too horrible, and it's cool. The reward is cool, right? And it's almost like that. It's 2 years in now. It's turned into that. It's the event of the summer. You grind what you can, and if you can get that cool set, and now it'll carry forward into the fall. It's cool to be able to sport that around, right? Like it's like anything else. I was there. Check out these glows. I will say when I saw it was both a what and then a relief a little bit that the glows are, I think, 800 silver. At least you do get the whole set of the elements, which is cool, because I think last year I remember opening loot boxes and like hoping for a certain one. I think, again, it's been a year.
I had so much trouble getting the ones I wanted. I just gave up.
Yeah, so at least you get to buy them direct this year. If it was just silver, that might sting a little bit, but it is also Bright Dust. So I do like that they added that aspect of it. So at least if you've built up your Bright Dust, I've recently spent mine on different things. There's been a lot that I've wanted in Eververse recently. I didn't want much here and there, but there's been emotes, and there's been, now this week I want the Sparrow, that little Sparrow, and I don't have enough. But I've always been at a point, Eververse never really, I know it had its different points, and you and I have talked about it before on the show, but Destiny's always been so friendly in the play, and then the engrams for the most part, in my perspective, that Eververse didn't ever really bother me as bad as it did some players. And now especially, there's so much to do and so much that I get out of the game versus money that I've put in, that I already told myself, I love that they let you get it with Bright Dust. I don't have enough, and I almost feel like I feel good about, like, okay, I don't spend hardly any money in Eververse. I feel good about buying something to support Bungie for all the excellence that we've gotten out of this game for a season pass of a purchase. I know we've had to buy different layers here and there, and different players as they come into the game have to buy different things, and that seems as though it's going to change this fall with the a la carte stuff. But for me personally, just speaking from my perspective, I'm at a point where it's like, I'm probably going to buy all 3 sets if I can get my legendary, and I'm proud to support them for the experience that they've given me, right? So, call it what you will, but that's more than where I'm at this point with this game. So
yeah, no, I 100% agree. I bought the one of the ornaments for Bad Juju as well, just outright, and I feel the same way. Like a lot of the stuff, like you said, they've made available, and I don't have enough dust for it because I don't play as much as I used to, and it's like, well, I'm happy to pay for it. Like, I've gotten way more out of this game, than they've ever put, and I think that you're right that I've always kind of ignored a lot of the Eververse stuff because I've seen it as very, unnecessary, and the stuff they've been putting out recently, I feel like has been really phenomenal.
Right.
For whatever reason, I don't know why
yeah.
it seems like it's been a step up, but it's been really good. And so
right.
I've spent money on Eververse a couple times in the last few months.
Yeah. No, and it's, and I totally get, the topic of Eververse and all that. We covered it, different aspects. I will say, it would have been cool if some portion of the glows would have came with your completion of the solstice stuff. But again, I don't know, I just think about how much this game means to me and how much I've gotten out of it for as little as I've monetarily put into it. And I know we bought different copies of the game, or multiple copies, or this or that, but I'm cross save comes out, I'm buying 3 copies of this game, and I know my money is going to be well spent, and I'm okay with, and maybe this is coming from me where I've spent less than, the most I've ever spent was probably on the glows last year. And up to that point, I probably had only spent $10 to $20 total in the whole existence of Destiny's Eververse. And that's probably maybe a little bit where I'm coming from too. I haven't spent a lot in Eververse, so maybe it's a little easier for me to buy these glows. But I don't know. It's fine with me.
I think the direct purchases for something like the
that's
glows,
a big deal.
That's a big deal for me. And I feel like I know I'm not every player, but I would much rather have it be like, all right, this is how much they cost if you want them, and I don't have a problem with them even catering that towards the really devoted player base. Because if anything, if you're the devoted player base, you're the one that's gotten the most out of the game anyhow,
right.
So I think it's fine. It's and there's so much to do in the game that them withholding a little bit of it, it's fine. And we talked about the idea of it being a free to play game earlier. One of the things is I like Warframe. I think Warframe's a great game. I don't want to talk bad about it or anything, but I will say that its approach to monetization, because you're not even buying a base package, the game's great. But even the timers that it has for building stuff, and the amount of times that you can pay money to move things forward, and the amount of grind that exists for some of those things, Destiny is it's a lot easier on you.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, like, I'd much rather just say, I want to look cool. Here's $5 or here's $10 or here's $15 or whatever. Give me the thing I want.
Right.
That's connected to, like, even the idea of, like, Bad Juju's ornament. I was, like, glad to pay for that, you know? And,
yep. No, I agree.
That's just...
You and I always talked about,
way.
It's like we don't have to, we'll easily get on an Eververse topic here. You and I always looked at it as, like, I don't have to spend money in Eververse. They didn't really ever, I never felt forced to, and I always got engrams to give me something from Eververse. It's not like I never got anything from it without spending real money. I will say, price points are still interesting. The cost of some things compared to other things you can get in the game or content you're paying for, how they land on some of those price points are interesting. But again, I think a lot of players, and we'd love to hear your feedback, Eververse has had its ups and downs through different players' eyes. And, let us know, as always, at Destiny Reset or Destiny Reset podcast at gmail.com, what your thoughts are, just on Solstice or, the Eververse aspect. I feel like the game more than ever right now is at a point where there's so much player, what's the word? Content, maybe. There's so much to do right now for what we pay for the experience that, and we're kind of in the midst of that even further right now. And we're going to see it, I think, as the years, in the next year or two, it play out even more. And this game, they really seem like they have, even from their statement this week about delaying the game, they really seem like they have focused on this vision that they have for it from player feedback and their own playing of the game and everything else since D2 launched, and the feedback they got on that. And it just seems cool, man. Like, it seems, not that they didn't have it in the past, it's their beast even more so now. And they're in complete control. They don't seem like they're, at least on the surface, crazy, anxious, or nervous about it. They really seem like the team has a vision for what they want it to be. And the players, of course, are help guiding that as well. And I don't know, man, it always feels cool to be a Guardian, but more than ever right now, it seems like an adventure in and of itself to be a part of this game and the experience, right?
Yeah, well said. I feel the same way.
Yeah. Well, and you, it's cool. Again, it's always nice to have you on the show, Joe, just to get your perspective, because especially now, because it's changed a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
The way you consume the game as far as in that regard. But very cool though, man. Yeah. So Reset, yeah, man. It's that's it, dude. That's been the gist of it. We did want to touch on one topic we did hint at the beginning of the show. We were talking about how we play the game, and there's the way you used to play the game. It's great to have you on to talk about this, and the way you kind of play it now, which is the way I've played it for a good many years now. And it's, you get on when you have time. It's usually when your whole house, at least for me, is asleep, and it's maybe 2 to 4 nights a week, maybe. And in this case, this week, I think I've played once, and that's just because I've been like wore out and crashing early for some reason, not staying up till 2 a.m. But it's interesting. And I even had the thought when we were talking about it before the show, maybe they, it's easy at times and not so much, to give Bungie credit from different players' perspectives, but what they've accomplished since Forsaken, let's say, and maybe in just different aspects of Destiny and its life cycle so far. But for you and I to be able to play as parents in Cyborg, we can devote as much time as we have to play the game, with everything else that's going on, just like many players. And I still feel like I can keep up. Of course, there's things that I want, but I always tell people when I'm talking about Destiny is it's like it works great for the stage of life I'm in right now. I work full time, family, couple kids, and I still can invest in this game more than any other, and I don't play many other games, and I stay happy with it. I still have fun. I feel like I can keep up. I can accomplish things. I don't feel like I'm behind. I can do my research on different things, and I don't feel like there's this like I'm falling behind kind of thing. But with that said, there's a whole other, and I wouldn't even consider us on that far into the spectrum, but we're kind of maybe teetering kind of to the middle, maybe not completely casual, obviously, but I would say we're beyond casual. But there's the whole other spectrum where you can just play this game nonstop and still not accomplish everything. The triumphs, the titles, all these things, these events that we're getting pretty regularly now, and it's quite a feat for them to have accomplished at this point. I don't know, man. Kind of as an introductory to what we were talking about before we hit record, we kind of wanted to touch on it on the show. What do you think, dude? Like, it's pretty cool, isn't it? Right? And you being a pretty unique perspective again, because you used to have 20 characters and now you have one.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts?
No, I really agree with you. And I hadn't really appreciated this side of that, but the fact that you can have pursuits that you can continue to go after if you want to. And like, I would say that we're dedicated players that just don't have a lot of time, because we don't play other games.
Right.
Whereas a lot of people, either they put the time in, they get the stuff done they wanted to get done, and then they just go play other things, which is fine too, But I think that Destiny works so well because you don't really get left behind. If you are a dedicated player, you will have something to do and something to chase that will actually be significant and worthwhile. And I think that's the part they've struggled with, like in times past, Either they didn't have things that were worth people in sinking all their time into, or they just didn't have those things at all, right? Or it was so important that you invested that time that people were scared off of it, right? They struggled at varying points throughout, but I really feel like they've done a good job. Even as we were talking about, as an example, the catalyst, right? I'm sure that having the catalyst for bad juju makes that gun just an absolute terror, And maybe because I love it so much, that's one catalyst I may actually try to go and get, but in general, I can't afford to go after those catalysts, but those catalysts are tremendous and they're very powerful, but they require a certain level of dedication and time. And I have one, but not the other. And I think that that's what's interesting about how they've balanced the game, that people like you and I, who just don't have the time, but we want to be dedicated, we have a certain experience and we love it. And other people who maybe have a lot of time, but aren't necessarily super dedicated to it, they can get what they want out of the game and then move on, and then others who are both dedicated and have time, they can get a lot out of it too. And so I think that it really is a marvel that I hadn't really considered beforehand, that there are so many different activities to do, so many different pursuits to chase after, so many different things to invest in. And the investment, like we were talking about with the pinnacle weapons, is meaningful. They are significant things that you're obtaining and getting from it. And so because of that, like, it is interesting to see it from this side. Like I told you before, I basically averaged 4 to 5 hours a day for like the first 2 or 3 years I was playing Destiny before I was really married. And, even the first year I was married, my wife worked overnight shift as a nurse. So, she would go to bed at like, 8 or 9 o'clock, and then I would just stay up and play till 1 or 2 in the morning. There's my 4 or 5 hours, Yep. And so it just, having to have my time and my focus change has been really great to know that I can still play this game. Because I really thought that for a while, I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to keep playing Destiny, but it's continued to stay engaging and enjoyable. And as you were talking about before, like, it's cool that there's a game out there that it feels suited for this phase of life. And that was even, like I said, I loved playing Warframe. I played really intensely for a summer when I could, but I just can't. I can't play it like it needs to be played, and I can't get anything out of it if I don't. And very few games really can strike what Destiny does. I've even talked to some of the teens that are, in my youth group and, at church, and they talk about the fact that one kid was like, well, I stopped playing Fortnite for 3 weeks, and then everybody had, changed their strategies and changed their tactics, and I felt left behind. I couldn't even compete with them anymore. A lot of games are like that. If you're not really engaged with it constantly, you can't play it.
Right.
And the fact that Destiny strikes such a balance where the people that can invest, like, they get ahead, they can Sherpa, they get all of the equipment, they have the best stuff, and even if you don't do that, you still can participate and get things that you are willing to work for and enjoy.
Yeah.
So I think it's great.
Yeah, I mean, it's as we were talking about it, you realize it's quite a feat, an accomplishment from the team, especially over the years, just tweaking it and refining it. And, anything from, like you said, the Pinnacle Quest, all the way down to what we read in the patch notes, where the menagerie chest will become more rewarding as the season comes to a close. So, the fact that they have to think about all those different aspects. And of course, sometimes they missed the mark, the menagerie tweak, not everybody agreed with, but for the most part, Destiny is it's such a fascinating game, and just the different ways. I think of people like Lulu. We've had her on the show, and I saw her on my Twitter feed maybe a couple weeks ago, and she's working on getting all the titles and maxing her triumph score. Now, that's amazing. Like I love working on those things, but I can again feel like I'm keeping up with my playtime while she can, and not to say I know she works and such as well, not to say she's got a lot of time, but her dedication and the time that she has, like you said, she's able to accomplish that, and it's been rewarding for her. It's just cool to see those different ways people play the game and different things that they go for. And, I do get the perspective, I've seen out there where people say it's too much at a hobbyist level now, than it was, it's the other end of the launch of D2, but it really is. I definitely get that. I have those moments, like I said, where I want a catalyst and I'm not sure when or how I'm going to get it, but it's almost like you have to step back as a player, at least for me, and just realize, and we've talked about it on the show before, like I'm not going to be able to get everything. If I want to get it, I'm going to have to figure out how to make it happen, and it's okay if I don't. I'll get the things that are, I want the most. And, it's an interesting, aspect of the game, but I think it's what makes it work, right? And the biggest thing for me, like I said, is at least my current stage in life and where I'm at, like it just works. It's one of the main reasons why I play Destiny is not only do I enjoy it, but it just works well for the way I'm able to play video games. I've played video games my whole life, and I'm very I'm happy that Destiny's around because it works so well being, again, at where I'm at in life right now. And it's fun, man. It's cool. And it's fun to hear different people's takes on this and the way they play the game and what they like and what they don't like. And again, always welcome to send us that feedback. We'd love to share it on the show. Joe and I are just two of many players, many guardians. So always interested to get your feedback. But anything else this reset, Joe? Are you is that Joe's reset?
I think that does it. I mean, I think if Iron Banner was last week, I get confused as to when things start and stop.
Mm-hmm. Remember how it used to be easy to know when Iron Banner was coming around? It's not that it's hard now. It's just that you're not looking. There's so much to do. You're not looking ahead.
Yeah, no.
You're just
100%.
like in the night of that play session trying to figure out what you're going to do.
Yeah, and so I did play Iron Banner, I think, last week. And yeah, it's just, I feel like there's so many things for me to do. There's so many valuable pursuits to go after. And when you get a pursuit like Bad Juju that you finally are able to do, and the mission's incredible, the weapon's incredible, like I'm still off that, I'm still going off that high right now where it's like, I'm just enjoying like obtaining things, playing new activities, and like, it's just fun. I'm having a good time.
I like having a couple, 2-3 days where I haven't logged in. And not that I was getting sick of it or anything, but I log in and I have like all over again. I have that just excitement of seeing the UI and figuring out what I'm going to do and what I'm going to work on. And and I mean, you're talking how many years in now, right? That's the magical thing about it. I mean, to play a game, I've mentioned it many times on the show. It's been a while, but SOCOM was one of those games for me. And it's one of those things. It's magical to have a game like that. And I've said before on Twitter, it's like, you want to make sure, you're acknowledging it now, because Destiny is likely to be one of those games in 15 years, where we think back on how amazing it was. Right. And of course it had it's had its ups and downs, but overall, like when you look at it from the time point stamp we're in right now, it's like, wow, this game is special, dude. It's cool.
It really is. And I think that's one of the big keys. Like, I always try to do that in life in general. Like, just live in the moment you're in now. Like, don't spend so much time reminiscing about the past and saying how good it was. Don't spend so much time thinking about like the future and how much better it'll be than where you are. Like, just enjoy what you have now, because there's so many things that you could be thankful for. And I think that Destiny is one of those things that, like, I'm thankful for the opportunity to play this game in the state that it is now. I'm thankful for the opportunity to have played it before, and like, it's great to have it. And I think you're right that I know I'll look back at this era of my life and be like, it was really characterized by Destiny. You know, is one of the main things. And
it's definitely so.
You know, it's special. It is special.
Well, we're hitting into feels, man. We changed the name of this segment, but we're like teetering on some Dirt Fam feels right now.
Yeah.
How special!
Well, we better get into the other feels the other people sent us in, then, right?
Yeah, for sure. We got we're gonna roll right into some Dirt Fam discourse, yes. And we got a couple things this week. We got an email and we got a speak pipe. Joe, you want to share this email we got from this nice guardian here?
Sure. We got an email from Justin, and the title was, "You guys are awesome," with 3 exclamation points. He says, "Love the podcast. Always informative. You guys have become a go-to for me during work commutes, gym sessions, even long walks in the park. Just wanted to say, keep doing what you're doing, and thanks for keeping things funky, fresh, and fun. P.S. Can I get a clan shout out for the best clan, the Iron Wolves?
Ooh.
Thanks, guys. Always listening, Justin."
Shout out to the Iron Wolves. Man, Justin, thanks so much for that kind email. It's funny, dude. We've been getting, we really appreciate it. Like, it means a lot to us. And Cyborg and I and Joe and the team and the Dirt Fam as a whole. Like, the Dirt Fam is what keeps things awesome. And you guys are just awesome to each other. And we've been getting these reviews where people are coming across the podcast and the community, and just probably with how Destiny's coming, changing a bit and getting fine-tuned over the last many months since Forsaken. And, just looking for podcasts, I think, and it's always great to hear from Guardians who found the show. So we really appreciate the kind words. It means a lot to us.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, and a shout out. We take this opportunity to shout out the Dirt Fam team, the admin team, and the ambassadors and the clan leaders. You guys are awesome. We should have everyone, I don't even know if it's possible, everyone on the show. We've
cool. Talked about that a couple times as being like a yearly, or on our anniversary shows, getting everybody together. It's just never
we
worked
did
out.
It one year. I think what was our 1 or 2 year anniversary. We had most of the admin team on, and it's the things the team does behind the scenes. We talked about it being a well-oiled machine before we started the show. The community's been around so long, and everybody's so excellent to each other, and the team just kind of does what they need to do. They don't even really, it's not that they need to do anything. They just know what to do to keep the community going. And it's cool, man. Everybody does their part. The Dirt Fam, all the way down to the newest member. Everybody plays a role, and everybody's awesome to each other. So it's cool it's cool for people to find the podcast and then naturally transition into the community, or the other way around. And it's just neat to see more Guardians come along, right? So
absolutely.
Very cool. We got a speak pipe. This is continuing a tradition we used to have back in the day. These are what we call speak pipe challenges. This started a long time ago, and then there was a nice long break. And then Terry, I won't say anything, but Terry did finally leave his speak pipe a few episodes ago, and we're now up to CK Shocker. He accepted the challenge and left us his speak pipe. So let's take a listen to it.
What is up, Dirt Fam? CK Shocker here, answering the call of Dark Huntress. Would call her by her new name, but words are hard and I'm not going to try. I've been a long-time Destiny player dating all the way back to the beta. I have to say that the Derp Clan has been the best experience of my Destiny career. I'd like to thank AER0KNIGHT and Cyborg for creating this great community, and Van Davis and co-founder for bringing me into it. Also would love to shout out my group of people in the Red Jacks. You know who you are. Too many names to call out, but honestly the best fire team in Destiny. Want to give a special shout out to the Guardian El Barro. We're thinking about you. Now it's time to throw down the challenge. This Guardian and I have been a part of many fire teams together. We've had some fun nights playing Destiny and Fortnite. He doesn't know, but he truly helped me through some hard times. So put the cork back in the bottle and get in here, Willis33.
Thanks, Shocker, for the great speak pipe. And Willis, you have been challenged. It's your turn to leave us another speak pipe and challenge somebody else if you'd like that has had a positive impact on you in this community and that you want to get their voice on record for the next show. So go ahead and make sure you do that.
Yes, and don't worry if you can't get it in the first week. Just take your time, get it in when you can. Willis33 now. That's an old school Dirt Fam name. Been around.
Yeah, it is.
Been around for a while. Shouting out some other old school names that brought him to the clan. Good old co-founder and Davis. But appreciate the kind words, and let's keep the challenge going. I loved these back in the day, and it's cool to see them back up and running again. It's fun to get the speak pipes and actually be able to get some other voices on the show, especially from the community. It's always fun. But
yeah, definitely.
As usual, Dirt Fam Discourse, if you want to send us any feedback or your experiences in the game, or you want to shout out another Guardian, anything like that, you can send us some Dirt Fam Discourse. You can even tweet at us at Destiny Reset if you got something you want to send us for this portion of the show. You can email us at destinyresetpodcast@gmail.com. Or you can leave us a speak pipe, like you just heard. That's at speakpipe.com/Destiny Reset. I believe it is like a 90-second. I think it's still 90 seconds. You can just leave like a little voicemail, and we'll get a file from you. It'll tell us you sent us something, and we can download it and throw it on the show like we did Shockers there. So anybody wants to send us anything, don't hesitate. We love to get even topics that you'd like to hear us cover that maybe we're not hitting on with so much going on in the game right now. Don't hesitate to send us anything. With that said, we got Dirt Fam patron shout outs this week. We actually did get a new patron, but we are waiting for a message back on Patreon's website. So Guardians, check your messages. I think we might have 2 or 3 pending out there over the last many weeks. Make sure and check your messages if you become a patron, because we want to give your gamer tag a shout out, not your actual name. We just want to make sure we have it right. So with that said, if you don't know what a Dirt Fam patron is, you can support us and the community through Patreon, patreon.com/Destiny Reset. It's basically for as little as $1 a month. You can support the show and the community. You get some rewards. Those rewards are a shout out on the show. You get your gamer tag posted on our website, which is destinyresetpodcast.com. We got a Dirt Fam patrons and supporters section on there. You'll see all kinds of Dirt Fam listed there. And then, of course, you get an invitation to our Discord channel for Dirt Fam patrons and supporters. Of course, if you want to join the Discord, that's just discord.gg/Destiny Reset. And then if you are a patron and supporter, you'll see a channel titled as such, and you can jump in on some other conversations that we're having in there. And once a supporter, always a supporter. That's kind of come on our radar just on our own sake. Not that anyone brought it to our attention, but if you've supported and you stopped or you can't for any reason, that's totally cool. We appreciate it, of course, and you will still be on the website. You'll still be in the channel, and that stuff, those benefits don't go away. But again, we very much appreciate it, and thank you guys so much for that support. Well, Joe, anything else?
No, that's I think that'll do it.
That'll do
Thanks
it.
for having me on. It's once again always great to be here and chat about this game that we love.
Yeah, man, we had a fun little topic to talk about. I think we had a fun one the last time you were on as well. I forget what it was, but something we thought about whenever you came on. It's always fun to get your perspective on the game and your positive force, your energy that you bring with you. It's always a pleasure. Where can people find you, man? I know you're. I don't know if you're doing the socials much anymore, but you're obviously on console playing.
Yeah, I'm off social media completely now, which is kind of a weird thing. Yeah, I've been off for about like almost 9 months now. It's been wonderful, actually.
How do you know? Do you just get Destiny news happenings from the Discord and then you go check out their website, or do you just like check it every now and then.
Well, people usually post it in the Discord, and then every Thursday in the evening before I go to bed, I check the on the app. You can check the news and just look at the TWAB. So that's what I usually do.
Very nice. All right.
So if there's something that drops like midweek or early, like that's when like usually I'll see it in the Discord. But yeah, just use the Discord and keep up with that. If you want to find me though, like I am on PlayStation, I'll be on Xbox once the cross save comes. My tag on PlayStation is Joe Mieden. Just send me a friend request, say you're from Derp, and I'll accept you, and send me a message if you see me on, and we'll do something.
Joe's an excellent guardian to play Destiny with. It's been a long time since we played together, but we always have a good time when we do. We might have to attempt that Shattered Throne next week. Let's see if we
Invites out there. I'll show you the ropes, man.
It's always a matter of if a guardian that I'm gonna play with is playing as late as I do, because sometimes I don't log on till 11:30, 12 o'clock a.m. 12 a.m.
Yeah, and you're an hour away from me. So
yeah, so we'll try to we'll see if we can make it work.
Yeah.
But you guys can find me, of course, on Twitter and YouTube at AER0KNIGHT with a 0. Of course, you can find us at Destiny Reset on Twitter, and you can email us at destinyresetpodcast at gmail.com if you want to email us anything like we talked about before. And, of course, you can find us on the World Wide Web at destinyresetpodcast.com. We've got all our links there. We haven't said it in a while, but you can kind of use that website as a hub if you want. Our Facebook page, YouTube, Bungie.net group, all that stuff's on there if you want to find anything Destiny Reset related. We did get some new iTunes reviews this week. Joe, do you want to take the honors to shout out some iTunes reviews?
Sure. A couple of these are interesting. Dan TA77 is one of them, and also Fool in Your Mouth. So they gave us a great review as well. And then Kenu Fan, who is a guy I've known for a long time, gave us a great review, and he says if you love Destiny as much as they do, you're in the right spot, and he couldn't be more right. So Kenu, great guy. He lives in Germany. I actually almost met him in person when I was in Germany last year, and we've just chatted and touched base at various points. So he's a great guy. If you play on PS4, you'll see him post in the Discord and stuff, and he's awesome. You should play with him sometime. But thank you to all those that gave those reviews. It's really helpful for us. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Guardians, so much. We really appreciate, especially all of you, the 3 this week. It always means a lot. Like Joe said, it helps us out in iTunes. And it was funny to see Kenu's come back up, because I thought he had left us one before, but the date was very recent, obviously. And it made me wonder if like it came back up or something, but he obviously left us another one. But anyway, shout out to all 3 of you. Really appreciate it. And means a lot for you to take the time to leave a review for the show. It's a big deal. It means a lot to us. Joe, thanks for joining this week. Cyborg, like I said, will probably be back next week, but you're always welcome. Of course, you can always, even if both Cyborg and I are on here, we always love having you on the show, buddy.
Yeah, well, thanks for inviting me. It was once again just a great pleasure, and hopefully we can get that Shattered Throne done next week.
That would be excellent. Well, I think we got Discord, but I think we have each other's cell phone numbers as well. So we'll try to to coordinate something for sure.
We'll make it happen.
Yeah. All right, guys. Until next reset, have fun playing Destiny 2, and take care, Guardians.